The stars were calm, shining quietly over the border of neutral space. The Sharn Empire had sent scout ships many times across this zone, looking for something useful, energy, trade routes, or sometimes a threat. But most of the time, there was nothing interesting here. It's just space dust, frozen rocks, and silence. Vorrik, a middle-rank scout of the Sharn Empire, leaned back in his chair aboard the small recon ship Valkar. He had large dark eyes and greenish skin like most of his kind. His job was simple: observe, report, and never engage today, though. Something strange appeared on his long-range scans. Life signs, he muttered, narrowing his eyes. Human origin. Civilian ship class. But outdated. Vorik tapped his console and brought up the data. The human vessel looked slow, old, and not even armed. No shields detected. No escorts. Just a single colony-class ship slowly passing through neutral space. They dare to travel without protection? Vorik muttered. They still think they're safe here? His comms beeped. A message had arrived. Not from the humans, but from an old Sharn record archive. It was a forgotten signal file attached to the ship's coordinates. The message was short, simple, and strange. Do not attack the humans. We will never let you go. Vorik tilted his head. What is this supposed to mean? He forwarded the signal to command. Minutes later, laughter filled his ship's comms. His superior, Commander Lorthon, spoke through the channel. Old myths, Lorthon said with amusement. Humans? A danger? They're barely more than clever animals. Their worlds are young. Their tech is messy. No control. Vorik hesitated. But the message? Some poor scout got scared? Lorthon interrupted. Scan the ship. If it's truly unarmed, we'll teach them a lesson. Vorik obeyed. The scans continued. Still, no weapons. Still, no shields. The humans didn't respond to the scans either. They just kept moving, calmly, slowly, like they didn't notice or didn't care. Within hours, 3 Sharn warships dropped. From warp, they moved around the human ship like sharks around a wounded fish. Vorik's screen showed a live feed. The human ship was large, but quiet. No energy spikes, no distress calls. Still no action, one of the Sharn captains said. They're either stupid or broken. Fire a test shot, Commander Lorthon said. Don't destroy it. Just let them know we see them. A pulse beam shot out. It hit the human ship on the side, just a scratch. No shields came up. Reaction at all. Vorrik. His hand tightened on the console. Why aren't they responding? He asked. Because they have nothing. Lorthon replied. No pride, no tech, no spirit. What? The fleet laughed again. They began circling, playing with the human ship like hunters playing with their prey. But Vorik watched carefully, too carefully. His scanners showed something odd. The temperature of the human ship was dropping fast, from life support levels to near freezing. That's strange, he whispered. Suddenly, one of the Sharn warships lost power. Lights went dark. Engines shut down. It just stopped. Ship 4 respond. Lorthon ordered. No answer. Another ship blinked out. No fire. No explosion. Just gone, like space swallowed it. What is happening? Lorthon shouted. Vorik single quotes. His hands flew over the controls. He tried to scan the human ship again. Now there was static. Something was jamming his sensors, but not from outside. His own. Ship systems were going cold. Like the signal was coming from inside. Commander, we should retreat, Vorik said quickly. Something is wrong with this ship. It's not normal. Nonsense, Lorthon replied. They've tricked our systems. Scan again, Commander. We're receiving a signal. Vorik cut in. But it's not in their language. It's my voice. He played the signal. It was his own voice from earlier. Do not attack the humans. It will never let. Hugo Vorik's heart dropped. He hadn't recorded that. He hadn't sent that. And yet it was his voice, saying the warning. Again and again. He checked the origin. It came from the human ship, but that was impossible. The remaining Sharn ship turned away and tried to flee. Its engines flared, then vanished into silence. Only Vorik's scout ship was left, the human. The vessel was still there, unmoving, unarmed, and watching. They didn't move, Vorik whispered. They didn't fire. Still, the human ship stayed quiet. Suddenly, his ship's engines shut down. The lights turned red. One by one, all systems blinked. Affect life support and communications. The screen lit up again. A single line appeared. You struck first. Another line followed. Now stay. Vorik stared. Cold sweat ran down his back. Stars outside remained bright and peaceful. Space looked the same, but it wasn't. He couldn't move. Couldn't call for help. He was trapped, and the humans never said a word. Vorik sat alone in his cold, silent ship. The lights above him were dim and red. Outside the window, space looked the same, quiet and still. But he knew something had changed. His hands moved across the controls, but nothing worked. Engines were dead. Long-range comms were silent. Even the emergency beacon refused to light up. Only the life support still ranged enough to keep him breathing. On his screen, the human ship remained exactly where it was, unmoving, silent, but he couldn't stop staring at it. Every time he blinked, it felt like the ship had moved slightly, but the scanners showed no motion. He checked again. Still no shields. Still no weapons. Still no crew response. But somehow, it had taken out an entire Sharn attack group without firing once. Vorik tapped into the old signal again. The same line played on repeat in his voice. Do not attack the humans. They will never let you go. I had never said those words. Not out loud, not to anyone. But it was his voice, same tone, same rhythm. It made no sense. How can a human ship do this? He whispered. His ship's logbook flickered. A new entry appeared. He hadn't typed anything. The log wrote itself. Entry 271, trapped. They know what we will do before we do it. Entry 272. I must warn the others. His breath came. Faster now. The ship was not just broken. Something was controlling it. Is this psychic tech, he wondered, or something else? He'd tried to send a short message through the backup system. A small signal meant for nearby patrol ships. He typed in just 2 words, stay away. But before he could hit send, the console turned black. Then white letters appeared again. Too late. He froze. His claws trembled above the controls. Outside, space shimmered, not with stars, but with the arrival of 5 new Sharn ships. A second wave. No. Vorik whispered, they don't know. They think we failed because we were weak. The new ships approached fast. He could hear the open comes from them. The captains were laughing again, just like before. Must be a trap gone wrong, one voice said. They probably ran out of power, another joked. Vorik screamed into the local mic. Turn back. Do not engage. I repeat, do not attack them. But no one replied. No one even noticed his signal. It was like his ship wasn't there. As the 5 Sharn warships moved closer to the human vessel, Vorik held his breath. The human ship didn't move, didn't charge weapons, didn't even raise shields. Then, one by one, the new ships began to drift. Slowly at first, then faster. Systems failure, someone shouted over the comms helm, not responding. Engines are offline, we can't jump. We're stuck. Vorik listened in horror as the chaos grew. A minute later, the voices stopped. All 5 ships were frozen. Their lights faded. They floated silently like the ones before them. Vorik's screen blinked. Again, a new message appeared. This is not war. This is memory. He stared at the words. What did it mean? Memory of what? He whispered. A faint sound echoed in the ship, not from the speakers, but from inside the hull. It was like a voice, but far away. It repeated softly, like a breath. In his ear, you came to hurt. Now you will stay. Vorik stood up. He grabbed the emergency suit and climbed into it. Maybe he could escape through the airlock, use the old suit jets to drift toward one of the dead ships, or maybe even the human ship. He didn't know why, but something inside him believed if he reached it, maybe he could understand. Maybe even beg for freedom. As he reached the hatch, the ship spoke again. Not through words, but through images. His helmet visor showed flashes memories not his own. He saw human cities burning, alien ships attacking first, humans defending without mercy. He saw peace talks broken by betrayal. He saw humans offering help and being stabbed in return. Then he saw something else, a secret project, a weapon not of fire, but of space-time, not to destroy but to trap, a prison built in the form of a ship, designed not to kill enemies but to hold them forever. A response to betrayal. They will never let you go. The message had not been a threat. It had been a warning, a mercy. VORRIK fell back. He understood now. This wasn't just a ship. It was judgment. And it didn't matter who you were if you struck first. You never left outside. The stars still looked calm, but he knew better. This space was no longer neutral. It belonged to them now, and the humans never forgot. Vorik was alone in the dark silence of his disabled ship. The once bright console now displayed an unchanging space full of drifting static. He could feel the icy grip of the trap that had fallen upon him. In the previous moments he had seen his own voice repeating mysterious warnings. Now reality itself seemed twisted, as if he were caught in a prison of unseen forces. The small ship remained locked in position. Outside the viewport, the human vessel still floated, unmoving yet full of an eerie presence. Vorik tried several times to override the frozen controls, to send a desperate command to any friend or foe that might be nearby. Nothing happened. His fingers moved slowly over the panel, and each attempt only deepened his sense of helplessness. His mind raced with questions. What kind of power could trap an entire ship? What secret technology had the humans employed to create a prison in space? He leaned back and closed his eyes for a moment. Memories began to intrude, visions that felt like fragments of an old history. In those images, Vorik saw humans not as simple creatures of flesh, but as beings who had mastered art beyond the bounds of normal science. He recalled legends among the Sharn Empire of a lost secret, an artifact or a design that could bend the rules of nature and time. Vorik had never believed these tales until now. They seemed to come to life right in his ship. The images were warm and sad, showing cities on fire, people fighting with a kind of fierce determination, and then a shift to careful, deliberate act of mercy. They reminded him that the humans had built not a weapon, but a trap. Trap meant to hold those who chose violence over peace outside the viewport. The human ship shimmered, as if viewed through a rippling curtain. Every time Vorik looked away, the ship appeared in a slightly different position. The change was subtle, but real, a sign that space itself was bending inside this strange zone. He tried to run more scans, focusing on the outer edges of the area. Instead of the endless black void he expected, his sensors reported the presence of swirling energy fields. These were like invisible nets, invisible to untrained eyes, yet powerful enough to disable entire fleets in moments, Vorik recalled. The warning that had first echoed in his ship: do not attack the humans. They will never let you go. The words now held a new meaning. They were not a challenge or a boast, but a gentle decree of balance. The human ship was not there to wage war, but to offer a stark lesson. Every aggressive signal and every attack that the Sharn had once planned was met with this calm yet unyielding response. The trap was built on the idea of justice, a promise that any act of violence would come back to the attacker in ways they had never imagined, though the vessel's controls were frozen. Vorik's mind remained free. With a cautious hope, he began rethinking his situation. He opened a channel to send out a detailed message, explaining his understanding of what might be happening. This is Vorik. I understand now, this is not simply a malfunction. It is a warning and a lesson. Please, if you hear me, listen. He repeated the message several times, sending it out to any listening ship in the nearby space. Silence remained unbroken, except for the low hum of the trap's power. Hours passed. or perhaps only minutes. The concept of time was now as warped as the space around him. Vorik decided to examine the ship's logs and internal sensors more closely. His eyes traced over the written records, hoping to see a clue that had been missed before. The logs contained fleeting images and cryptic messages that had appeared from nowhere. One log entry read, "The trap is not our enemy, it is our mirror. See what you have done?" Another recorded aggression fuels the device. Only by accepting peace can one hope to be free. These messages both troubled and comforted him. They seemed to carry a message of inevitability, a belief that the humans had learned from ancient mistakes, and now wished to save others from repeating them. A chill crept over Vorik's skin as he noticed another unusual effect. The colors on his display began to shift slowly from the harsh red of failing systems to softer, cooler hues. A gentle glow began to fill the cabin, and in that subtle light, the outlines of strange symbols appeared on the walls of the control room. They were not written in any language he recognized. Instead, they looked like the very patterns of light and air. With each passing moment, the symbols pulsed, as if they were the heartbeat of the trap. Vorik felt as if the space around him was trying to communicate beyond words. He could not grasp the full meaning, but he sensed that the trap was a living record of past conflicts and deep regrets. It was a call for forgiveness for the cruelty that once had been inflicted by those who chose war over peace. Determined to understand the nature of his confinement, Vorik finally decided to leave his seat. He moved slowly down a narrow corridor in his ship, the walls echoing his measured steps. Each movement reminded him of the silent voices from the past. The voices of countless beings who had suffered because of rash choices. The ship's design. It was old, but now it resonated with the same energy that held him captive. It was as though every bolt, every circuit had its memory. In the midst of his walk, Vorik felt his suit's sensors alert him. The door to the engineering bay had opened on its own. With a mix of trepidation and curiosity, he walked toward the bay. There he found a small console embedded in the wall. As he approached, the symbols he had seen before began to glow brighter, casting gentle shadows on the floor. The console lit up and presented a simple prompt: "Enter your truth." Vorik hesitated. The idea of truth was heavy for him. It was the sum of who he was and what he had done. He remembered the times he had followed orders without question, the missions where he had struck without thought for the consequences. His heart pounded as he pressed his hand to the console, sensing that this device was more than mere metal and glass. It was a recorder of lives, both past and future. A soft voice echoed again, one that seemed to come from the walls themselves. "Only when you see yourself can you break free." Vorik closed his eyes and let his mind wander back to the moments that had defined him. He saw the faces of his friends, the command he had trusted, and the deep guilt that had formed from decisions made in the name of duty. In that moment, he understood that the trap was a test, a challenge, to face the true self and embrace a new way of thinking. The engineering console accepted his input, and slowly, the symbols on the wall danced brighter with each admission. It was as if every piece of regret and every hope for redemption was being read by the ancient machine. A series of chimes followed, and then the console displayed another message: "Conflict is history, acceptance is future." In a sudden burst of light, the trap's energy shifted. The once impenetrable field around the ship now rippled gently. Vorik returned to the main control room with a renewed sense of calm. The lights grew warmer, and his ship's systems began to stir back to life. Not all at once, but one by one. Engines, the coms, and the life support stabilizing further. It was as if the trap was releasing its hold on him, rewarding his willingness to look inside himself. Vorik took a deep breath and scanned the area again. The human ship was still there, yet it now appeared less ominous. Its hull glowed with a soft radiance, and the invisible net that had held the other ships in place was dissolving. The silence in space was no longer a trap of sorrow or anger, but a quiet testament to the lesson that had been taught. The ship had not come to harm any who sought peace, and in that moment, Vorik realized that the true enemy was not the humans, but the warlike impulses that had once driven his empire. Now, as the energy fields began to fade, Vorik had to decide. His next step could use this moment to steer his ship away and warn his people about the true cost of aggression, or he could try to communicate with the human vessel to learn more about their mysterious device and the power they held within it. With steady determination, he opened the communication channel once more, this time speaking slowly and clearly. "This is Vorik. I have seen the truth. I'm ready to listen and learn." For a long, suspended moment, there was only silence, as if the entire fabric of space was waiting for his words. Then, a calm and measured voice responded, not with anger, but with a quiet invitation. "Step forward. Let the past be the lesson for the future." The voice was soft and respectful, and though it was difficult to tell if it was human or something greater, it carried the weight of a promise. Vorik felt the warmth of hope returning in his chest. The trap was slowly releasing him, and in its place, a choice emerged. A chance to rewrite the future of his people, and perhaps bring about a new age of understanding. In that quiet moment, while the stars watched from afar, Vorik decided that he would take the first step toward change. He would leave behind the violence of old orders and embrace the lessons carved into the very fabric of space. With trembling hands, yet a steady heart, he adjusted the controls once more. The ship shuddered briefly as the engines roared awake. Freedom was within his grasp. The human vessel, no longer merely a symbol of resistance, now invited him to cross the silent gulf between them. The trap had served its purpose. Aggression had been met with retribution, and the punishment was not eternal, but a guiding light. Vorik now understood the power of a promise kept by those who refused to yield to the cycle of violence. He steered his ship slowly towards the human vessel, ready to begin a. Vorik watched the stars shift as his small scout ship moved slowly toward the human vessel. For the first time since his mission began, he felt no fear, only wonder. The trap that had taken whole fleets and twisted space around them was now opening. It did not feel like an enemy. It felt like something far older. Something waiting for understanding. The human ship was still there, silent, unmoving, cold. Yet the way it hovered in space no longer seemed threatening. Instead, it felt like an ancient monument that held secrets no one had dared to read before. Its surface showed no signs of weapons. No hatches opened. No lights blinked in warning. It welcomed him without a single word as his ship got closer. The strange energy field around the human vessel faded completely. His scanners, once jammed and blind, were now clear. But the readings made no sense. The ship had no life signs, no active power source, no signal. "It's empty," Vorik asked himself. He tried sending a message again. "This is Scout Vorik. I request communication." Peaceful approach. No reply. He stopped a few hundred meters away. The human ship looked old, centuries, maybe even thousands of years. Its design didn't match any known records. It was not just ahead of its time. It felt outside of time itself. Vorik suited up and prepared to leave his ship. The small shuttle pod was enough to carry him across the short distance. As he floated toward the human ship, he kept recording everything: his voice, his movement, his thoughts. "My empire must see this," he said. "They must know what kind of power lives in silence." He reached the outer hole and gently touched it with one gloved hand. It was cold, very cold, but solid and still. He saw a faint outline of Adorno markings. No lights, but something. In him knew it would open, and it did. With a quiet hiss, the panel slid open, revealing a long corridor of black metal and soft light. Vorik stepped inside. His boots made no sound as he walked. The ship didn't feel abandoned. It felt asleep. The door closed behind him. Still, no warning, no weapons, just the soft hum of energy beneath his feet. He followed the hallway, which turned gently left, then right, as if it were guiding him. After a while, he entered a large chamber. It was shaped like a circle, with a wide open space in the center. There were no chairs, no control panels, no windows. Only a platform and walls covered in those same symbols he had seen on his ship. They pulsed faintly. In the middle of the room was a single chair. Not for humans, not for Sharn. Just a chair made of light and memory. He stood before it.
Then?
A voice came not through ears, but through his thoughts. Why did you come? It was not a human voice, not alien either. It was calm, deep, and gentle. Like a question asked by time itself, Vorrik replied in his mind, unsure if it would work. I came because I wanted to understand. We attacked you. We didn't know. The voice spoke again. You were warned. Yes, he answered. But we didn't believe. We thought you were weak.
L.
The silence that followed was not empty. It was full of meaning. The trap was not punishment, the voice said. It was protection. You struck and you stayed. That was the cost. Vorrik nodded. What is this ship? The walls around him began to glow. Images danced across them, wars, betrayals, peace offers broken. He saw humans in old-style uniforms standing beside leaders of other worlds. He saw a council, promises made, and then ships burning. After the final betrayal, the voice said they built this place, not to destroy, but to hold, to contain war itself. And you held us here? You held yourselves. We only showed you the door. Vorrik took a step back. Everything made sense now. The ship was a mirror, not just to reflect ships, but to reflect the heart of the attacker. Took in hate and returned silence. Can anyone escape it? He asked. Only those who choose to. He paused, but the others? Oh, they didn't know. They thought it was a battlefield. They did not listen. Many never do. The images stopped. The lights dimmed. You listened. Vorrik felt the air change. Something inside the ship recognized his truth. The silence wasn't cold anymore. It was calm. What should I do now? He asked. You have a voice. Use it. Carry the memory. Not as fear, but as wisdom. The chair faded. The walls went dark. The symbols stopped pulsing. The hallway opened behind him. The Vor returned. To his shuttle, then to his scout ship. The systems came back online. Messages flowed in from outside the zone. Empire was searching for answers. As his ship pulled away from the human vessel, he looked back one last time. It didn't follow. It didn't vanish. Sent one last message to the ship. Thank you. The reply came instantly. Remember. Vorrik turned his ship around and left the zone of silence. Space looked normal again. The stars blinked as they always had. But everything had changed. His people would not believe him at first. They would laugh. They would doubt. But he would tell them anyway. And one day, when someone foolish tried to raise weapons again, they would remember the words he now knew were true. Do not attack the humans. They will never let you go. Vorrik's ship drifted out of the strange zone, back into normal space. The stars ahead looked the same as before, bright, cold, endless. But his eyes now saw more than just light. They saw warnings, memories, promises he opened the long range. Channelin sent a report to Sharn Command. It took a moment before the signal locked in. Then came the usual response. His superior, Commander Lorthon, appeared on the screen. His face looked tense. Vorrik, we thought you were destroyed, the commander said. What happened out there? Vorrik sat up straight. Sir, I made contact with the human ship. It was not what we thought. Lorthon raised an eyebrow. Not armed? Not like any weapon we've ever known, Vorrik said quietly. They didn't destroy us. They trapped us. Not with fire, but with silence. They built a prison one that shows you your own actions. Lorthon scoffed.
How?
Of your strange reports. Where is the wreckage? Where are the readings? There's no wreckage because they don't need to fight, Vorrik answered. They simply let you destroy yourself. The more you attack, the deeper you fall into their trap. I saw it. I lived it. A silence hung between them. Vorrik could feel the disbelief. Still, he continued, we were warned before. Someone else tried to tell us. Now I understand. The trap is not a weapon of hate. It's a reminder. Humans don't forget when you betray them. They don't chase revenge. They just make sure you never get the chance to hurt them again. Nonsense, Lorthon replied. They're just one species. Clever maybe, but they can't control. Space like that. Then go see for yourself, Vorik said firmly. Send another fleet. They won't stop you. But they won't let you leave either. The commander's expression hardened. You're afraid? No, Vorik said. I've seen truth, and now I carry a choice. We all do. He ended the transmission. He had said what needed to be said. Over the next few days, Vorik returned to the nearest Sharn outpost. The scientists scanned his ship, confused by the data. Logs rewritten, signals repeated, images burned into the system that no one could delete. Strange pulses in the memory core. Every test confirmed what no one wanted to believe. There was no fight, no blast, no damage, only silence and loss of control. And a message that repeated itself in dozens of languages, including Sharn. Do not attack the humans. They will never let you go. Some dismissed the report. Others grew curious. But the warning began to spread across systems, at first whispered between officers, then quietly shared between species who had crossed paths with humanity. Not every empire believed it. Not at once, but then more scout ships failed to return. Some fleets lost contact near the same zone. Every report, if one came back at all, said the same thing. The human vessel did not move, did not speak, did not fire. Nothing ever came out once it went in. Soon, the space around the trap became known as the Still Ring. A dead zone, unemptied, unexplored, respected, even feared. One day a young diplomat from another species asked Vorik during a meeting, why didn't they just destroy your ship? Vorik smiled a little, his eyes distant. Because destruction is easy. They wanted us to learn. They wanted us to carry the memory with us. Is that why you never returned to the zone? No, he said. I didn't go back because I didn't need to. They let me go, not because I asked. From that moment on, Vorik became more than a scout. He was a speaker, a voice of memory. He traveled to other worlds, telling the story not with fear, but with truth. Not to scare, but to teach. He explained the way the trap worked, not with engines or weapons, but with emotion, memory, and reflection. He told them how it didn't punish you for attacking it, made you understand why you attacked. Some leaders believed him, some didn't. A few even dared to test it. None of them returned. The humans never spoke, never responded. But their silence was louder than any war cry. Years passed. The Still Ring remained untouched. The Galactic Council eventually marked it as a restricted space, not by law, by respect. Over time, stories of other traps began to surface.
It's always
Built by humans, always quiet, it's always fair. They never acted first, they only answered. On a cold evening, many years later, Vorik stood alone on a small hill on a neutral moon. He looked up at the stars, at the direction of the Still Ring. He remembered the chair of light, the voice of the ship. It's the way it had asked him. Not what he was, but why he was. He whispered, almost to himself. I never thanked them properly, but as the wind passed over the rocks, a small light blinked in the distance brief, soft like a nod from the stars themselves, and Vorik knew they had heard.